All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another golf video. No, we do not have a major to discuss this week. That was last week at the Masters at Augusta, but a fun tournament to go through here. We have RBC Heritage playing at Harbour Town. In today's video, we're going to dive into the course. I'll go through some players that I'm liking. We'll go through some of the favorites. I'll give you all of my thoughts, but as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4 more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of how we did at Augusta last week, wasn't all that bad. I think we ended up losing 0.16, so 0.16 of a unit. Realistically, Colin Morikawa could have come through for us. Russell Henley, I don't know about top 20, but we did have a couple Russell Henley spots. That was one of my favorite looks, right, in terms of him making the cut. So ultimately, it was really a matchup or bust type of or matchup and bust type of a week for us. We hit our matchups, 3 of the 5, 1 being a push, and then obviously the winning positions as well as the parlays do not come through. So yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. We had 2 previous weeks, back-to-back of winning a decent amount there. So I thought we were heating up, and then even a losing week at a 1/10 of a unit lost isn't going to make me, cry or write home to mom and dad about it. So yeah, we want to do a little bit better, but golf has been really hard, and golf is really hard to bet on. So let's dive into this course, guys. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's talk some Harbour Town action here. So what we have on the screen right now is datagolf.com. This is Harbour Town Golf Links, and you're seeing a course fit tool. And what it does is all 5 of these points, if it pulls it closer to the outside, it means it has a more, more importance to be taken into consideration, more correlation to success, that type of thing. And you can see here, the most notable for me is the driving distance is far below tour average. Approach is very important, but approach is important in a lot of courses. Driving accuracy is very important, which makes sense when driving distance isn't as important. And then you have around the green also something that is of importance as well. So what we're focusing on here, at least from what we're looking at this portion, is the fact that we want someone that can hit a good approach shot. They do not need to be long, slightly accurate, and they can get up and down around the green, that type of thing. Now, if we dive into the course table and we have this, let's go just to Harborside and we can break it out for the last 10 years. And everything you're seeing right now is free on datagolf.com. We don't have the premium membership or anything. So you can see here, a very, very short course. It is playing longer. Over the years, they've bumped it up 20 yards, bumped it up 20 yards, bumped it up 20 yards. I think it's actually like over 100 longer. It might be playing at like 7,100 this week. So course is getting longer, still not like a crazy amount. If we do kind of get rid of this, just to give you guys an idea, you could see if it was at 7,100, it's all the way down here in terms, actually, better way of looking at it is filtering shortest to longest. 7,100 is still going to put it right around here, meaning it's the bottom, bottom 25, that type of thing. So I wouldn't get too invested in, oh man, they made it, shorter, yes, or longer. Yes, it is longer, but it's still a shorter course in a sense, which a couple things that I want to note to prioritize. Over here, strokes gained on the approach over 150 yards. There are going to be some holes in which you need those long irons in, and we can see that has been difficult. The red numbers indicates that it's been a little bit more difficult over the years, and it's not playing all that, below in terms of strokes gained, but still something that kind of stands out to me here. And then off the tee, this is probably one of the biggest things that I'm factoring in this week. Off the tee, this thing, 8 of the last 10 years, just excluding last year and the year prior, off the tee has been super, super important. So when we're building our model for our players here, we're definitely putting a weight into off the tee. Kind of a mixed bag when it comes to putting. Putting isn't all that factored into my breakdown this week. I do have it in there because I don't think you can ever exclude putting from a model, but we have it specifically for the overseed, which you'll see here is the green grass. So specifically for overseed. But now we're over on Bet the Number. This is a paid for tool, but what you'll see on your screen here is the top 20 of the last 3 years. So 2024, 23, and 22, we have them filtered by scoring position, and you can see anyone that finishes at the top had a killer strokes gained approach week, and it kind of maintains that all the way through to the bottom. Yes, there are some reds, but there's a hell of a lot more deep reds around the green, or even when you look at it from an off the tee perspective, right? Towards the bottom, right in that sweet spot of the top 20 that we like. But again, approach and off the tee are going to be 2 things that we're heavily focusing on this week. And even just going hole by hole, feel free to pause this and just kind of look at it if you want to. I'm just going to summarize it via this right up here. You could see birdies per round, less than tour average, bogey per round, right around tour average, but par 3's playing above par, right? Par 4's playing below par, and par 5's playing below par. So within our model, you could see here, we do have bogey avoidance, because 2 of the 3 hole types are playing above par or the par 3 is playing above type. 2 of the 3, being par 5 and par 4, are more birdieable in my mind than par 3s. But we also have filtered in kind of in cahoots with that par 3 scoring average. So let's go through some of the top guys. Scotty Scheffler finishes 4th at Augusta there. Obviously, he's been playing some really good golf. Off the tee, he's had some good weeks, had some struggling weeks, but the approach numbers haven't totally been there. And this is comparing Scotty Scheffler to Scotty Scheffler in a sense, right? Like, he's in a league of his own. So sure, that's a guy that I can consider. He won this last year, tied 11, the year before. He's always going to be a good consideration, but 13.1K on DK and his outright is just 360 plus 360 does seem like it's a little bit of a stretch, right? The next guy, Colin Morikawa, would be a guy, I know I liked him last week. That was kind of my big name last week. I do like him here. I think he's a little bit expensive for what you might be getting, but I don't mind the idea of him in some matchup plays or something like that. Has some really good course history here. These are the last few years. T14 at Augusta. We can look at how he played there, right? Approach, he absolutely dominated Augusta, and that was really impressive. And then off the tee, in his last 5 rounds, all but one of them really pretty, poor, I guess, in a sense. The putting, I'm not all that concerned with, and I even mentioned before, around the green, I'm not all that concerned with. That minus 1.1 strokes gained around the green at Augusta is a lot different than what we might be seeing here, and you can even see last year he played this, he gained almost 4 strokes around the green, right? So I do think Colin Morikawa could be primed for a good spot. Another favorite is Xander Schauffele. I just think that he's going to be rounding into form at some point. You could see the approach from 140 to 200, which is a bucket that I'm emphasizing here. No better than him at that right now. And par 3 scoring and bogey avoidance all checking out as well. The around the green, I've been saying that I'm not emphasizing it. I get it. But it is a red number, and it doesn't look all that great. You could see putting around the green pretty poor, and then off the tee also poor. So we might be a little early for Xander here, but it's still something I'm considering. Maybe some share if we're putting in some DFS lineups. The last favorite name we'll talk about is Ludwig. Dude's a stud, right? He just doesn't do anything, I guess, for this course specifically for me, special, because the approach numbers have not been good. The off-the-tee numbers are phenomenal, and that is why he is ranked so high, or in our model here with the off-the-tee. He's ranked just 28th, though. He's 4th in terms of money, so that doesn't really correlate to exactly what I'm looking for. When conversely, Colin Morikawa is number 2 in terms of odds, right? But he's actually the number 1 model rank. That's more of the situation that I'm looking for. So let's talk more about some of the guys that I am looking for. All 4 of those guys I don't mind, but it'd probably go Morikawa, Xander, Scotty, and Ludwig, right? Like if we were to look at those 4. And Scotty, not because of play or not because of fit, solely because of odds. So I do have a decently, I guess, hefty list of what we like here this week. How many names is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I lost count, 14, maybe 13, 14. And this is what we're looking at. So we talked about Colin. We talked about Xander. Justin Thomas, definitely someone I have interest in. Look at his course history here, right? Pretty damn good. Not as good as the guy we'll talk about next, but pretty damn good. Didn't exactly look like himself, I get, at Augusta. Off the tee, lost a ton of strokes. Around the green, looked good. He actually putted net positive, even though it was minimal. Usually when he does that, he's playing pretty well. For example, right here, right? 6.8 strokes gained at Valspar. He came in 2nd. So JT, looking like he embodies the type of golfer we're looking for here. Do we worry about par 3? Do we worry about bogeys? Sure, but I would say if the putting, specifically for him is a big deal, not for the model, but for him, the big deal. He's great at overseed. Same thing with around the green, and then strokes gained on the approach, 3rd here. Right now, he kind of drops when we look at that specific bucket, but I'm willing to sit here and give him a little credit. So JT also someone that I really like. Everyone on this list are guys that I like. Patrick Cantlay, enough said about him. It's the course history that's doing it for me, right? Tied 3rd, 2nd in his last 3 here, and he's starting to gain strokes both off the tee and the approach. Those are the 2 things we're looking at. So Cantlay could be someone that we end up rolling with this week at 10,000 in DFS. I mean, yeah, that's a fair number. I was going to say a little expensive, but given the field, I think that is a pretty damn fair number. Russell Henley, also someone that we're looking to run back. He ripped our heart out last week, but very good course history, and you can see there's not even any pink in our model for him. Bogey avoidance, par 3 scoring, distance from edge of fairway, so a little bit of accuracy thrown in, around the green, on the approach, top 50 in terms of off the tee, right? And even looking at him off the tee, other than that Augusta, things have been looking pretty good for him in terms of strokes gained off the tee, so I'm willing to give Russell Henley one more shot and have some share with him this week. Tommy Fleetwood, I don't think we have to dive too much into him. He does have up and down course history here, but anything from approach, off the tee, even around the green looks really good. Accurate as all hell. And then we look at that certain bucket that I like, the approach from 140 to 200. He does that pretty well as well. That being said, has he fully hit his stride? He's had some really good finishes, I guess, in a sense, but hasn't fully hit his stride. Maybe this is the week that he does it. Now we get into a couple interesting names. Jason Day, Sepp Straka, Rob McIntyre, Sung J M. These are going to be 4 guys that we're strongly considering as kind of that upper mid-tier. Jason Day played really well at Augusta, didn't get all the headlines, but, you know, in terms of putting and around the green, he clearly does well on overseed, and bogey avoidance is very good. Is it good enough to outweigh the fact that all we've been talking about is off the tee? All we've been talking about is approach. Not necessarily, but if you look at his last few rounds here, the approach hasn't been all that bad. Off the tee, other than the Masters, in which he still finished top 10 with bad off the tee numbers, he had been pretty good at Arnold Palmer in Houston. So I do think that there's plenty worth considering with Jason Day, especially at a price that's right around $9K. Sepp Straka, exact same thing. He has good course history here, and he does a lot well with the approach thrown in. So similar to Jason Day with sort of the certain things that he does well, are we going to worry about off the tee? Well, approach should kind of make up for that. Rob McIntyre, a name that we've talked about plenty this year. I think this could be a good spot for him. Do I think great spot? No, but I think he could be a matchup throw-in. Going to gain some strokes off the tee. He should be able to putt well from the distance you need to, 8 to 15 feet we have here, and he's going to avoid bogeys. Sung J M is definitely one that I'm liking this week. He's playing really well at this course over the years, right? Top 5, so T5 at Augusta. His approach was terrible. I want to say, like, if we bump his numbers out even farther, so his last 24 rounds, right? So on strokes gained on the approach here, -2, -6. You can even see -0.8 usually versus the field. If we bump this into, I would say, let's go top. What did we have before? I think it was top last 15 rounds, excuse me. He's losing less than 1 stroke. If he can get that, we have a very good driver of the ball. He just needs to be a 0 on the approach. It's going to be very important, but I think he can gain a ton of strokes off the tee at this event, and you can even see it here, right? Look at him off the tee. He's had some negatives on the approach, but this guy loves off the tee. He loves this course in terms of gaining strokes off the tee. So especially a guy that, you know, isn't really being talked about and not getting much credit for finishing top 5 at the Masters, I think it could be a good play. Daniel Berger, you can even see nothing spectacular, but kind of checks almost every box except par 3 scoring here. Taylor Pendrith, for the sole reason that he's the number 1 guy with strokes gained off the tee. But you could see that's all he's really doing well, right? He even finished top 5 at the Houston Open. He did well total, tee to green, sure, but strokes gained off the tee was crazy, and he pulled his approach out of his you-know-what and played really well as well. So we'd need that again, but you're just getting good odds for him. And Michael Kim, I want to give credit to Michael Kim for what he's been doing. The putter is the big thing for me, much like Justin Thomas. You know, he might not check every other box, but when Michael Kim putts well, he scores well and plays well, right? He's got good approach numbers, even though we only see a handful of greens here. Terrible approach numbers, but we're dating back 4 years. This is a young kid. At this point, he's a young kid in my mind in general. So still someone that, you know, is worth considering. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of this or something, these are the names that we're looking at. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to any final plays. I'm sure you'll see a little mishmash of some of the names that we talked about today. And let me know in the comments if you're watching this, if you'd like me to share some DFS lineups that I'm rolling with. Usually we'll take the information we have in the model and just kind of put in a bunch of different DFS lineups with, you know, some of our favorite guys with 50 to 60% ownership and share and whatnot across all boards in terms of coverage. But we don't usually talk DFS or share that much on the channel, but with golf, I love doing it. Maybe that's something that we roll with in the future. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see versus just the top finish, just the matchups, any sort of other like parlays and whatnot. Let me know down in the comments. But yeah, appreciate you for spending some time with me, talking some golf here, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.